Welcome to The New Monks. This podcast is dedicated to those of us on the journey of evolution. Through these episodes, we will dive into the lives of individual people and discover what they have learned and how they have handled their growth. In this episode, Bilkis talks to us about how bullying and adversity inspired her to create a social enterprise which defies gender stereotypes in programs at schools, how depression led to this big shift from working in the city into transferring her career path and finding her purpose and figuring out exactly what she wanted to do and going against the grain of what society and family structures implement in us. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so usually how we start
is
if you can just take a few deep breaths in.
And let it out?
And let it out.
Okay.
And then if you can just tell us how you're feeling right now.
That was actually quite good. That helped me.
Yeah?
Yeah, the tension here is gone.
I know.
I know. I woke up with that. I was like... Which wasn't a good look. So I think I slept funny, but that was good.
Nice.
Yeah. So thank you.
That's okay.
Okay.
So yeah, how are you feeling?
What, today or in just generally in life?
Just, yeah, right now.
I would say quite calm, mixed with a little bit of anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know that sounds like a contradiction, but it's kind of like waves, isn't it? So sometimes you feel overall you're like, yeah, I've got this, and then sometimes the inner person is like, So sometimes I think it's a combination of both. Also, I've travelled for an hour on the Bakerloo line, so I'm a little bit, like, so I'm glad I'm off the tube. So yeah, I think a mixture of like excited but also anxious, because I've come back from holiday. I've got a lot to do, and I'm trying to like pace myself, not overwhelm myself, because that can get really easy to do. Do you know what I mean? Like you wake up and you're like, I've got to do this, and then you're like, and then you kind of short circuit.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like get up. Sorry, I'm moving. Trying to get up early in the morning and like not forcing myself, like listening to my body, but also getting up early so I can do things, like just get more done. But stuff that I want to do, not just forcing myself to do. You know how people are like, I have to go to the gym in the morning and then I need to do this and then I've got to have a acai bowl before the sun rises. You know what I mean? And you're like, it's stressful.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's stressful in itself when you're like, mental well-being, and then you're like, but I need to do this, and this, and Instagram doesn't help, does it? Because you're like, oh, this woman's been at the gym for 30 minutes and she's posting with her like amazing body, and you're like, should I be doing that at 6:30 in the morning in Chiswick right now? Oh my god. I have just woken up and I've forgotten to take my bra off. So that's all I've achieved today. So I think, I've been getting up earlier, so I'm really happy. And I'm kind of just reclaiming that time for reading, for me, pacing myself. So one of my friends gave me a bracelet and I loved it. And it's an Oprah Winfrey quote, and it's running my own race. And I love that. So whenever I get like flummoxed or I'm like... I will just go back to that and be like, don't compare yourself to others.
Yeah.
So what if someone's doing X over here? Like, you're doing your own thing, and I'm setting something up from the ground. So that takes time. And resilience and dedication, but it's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And I've left the city to do that, right? So I know that that's my purpose, and that's what I'm trying to do with my mornings, is using that time to be like,
I love it. You've just taught. There's so much here now.
Yeah, there is. I know. I just blah, blah, blah.
But it's really cool.
But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Today wasn't the best day, but usually, so I got up at 8, which is late. But is it late? Like, who's telling us that?
Running your own race.
But exactly. But I woke up feeling guilty. But it's because I was anxious and I wasn't sleeping properly, and I'm thinking about all the things I need to do. And I was like, no, don't feel guilt. What a waste of energy and the most annoying, wasteful emotion. It doesn't achieve anything.
Yeah.
So I just got up, had a nice breakfast, came over to you, got my book.
So you've started your own thing now. So you have basically more time in your day that you determine what you do.
Yes.
And how do you find your own grace within that? Because I guess sometimes you can put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah. I love that. You're like, yeah. I recently watched a documentary about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she is like one of my up there's. Like, I love her, and she's a phenomenal, incredible woman. And she inspired me, and she spoke about for anything to be a big societal shift or any change, it takes time. And humans, she doesn't say this, but this is from my own, reading. Humans are scared or frightened of change. It freaks us out. We would rather do something that we are just doing it again, comfortable, we're getting a bit bored, but we know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, pushing those boundaries is just a bit like, what the hell is going on? And people don't like doing it. They would rather just be in their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And for me, it's that, like, taking each day as it comes, remembering what my vision and my purpose of, my mission is, and it's to help those children out there that need it and make it a world a little bit of a better place. And it's really important. It sounds like a cliche, but to do something that you truly believe in, because even when things waver, and they do, we're only human, right? When you're like freaking out or having a moment, because you're on your own, you don't have a corporate around you. It's really important to, like, be centered and, like, grounded in that. And that for me is, like, making sure that gender stereotypes aren't carried on, so that the next generation are limited in their choices, or young kids are thinking, I can only do this, oh, you're a girl or you're a boy, everybody in between's included. To be truly diverse and inclusive in everything has to start from there, and that's something that I truly believe in, and that's what helps me every day. So if I'm like freaking out and you're like, no, go back, and I'll see those kids' faces and their smiles, and especially after, like, we're piloting, post-pilot, like, we've got, loads of kids before saying, oh, university is for boys, and now they're like, I could go to university, and you're like, wow. And that is, like, quite emotional.
Yeah.
It's a lot of heart and soul, but I care about those kids. I call them my kids because there's 60 of them and they're my children. And it's that, like, I would rather be doing that, and even though it's pushing boundaries and it's scary at times, I'd rather be doing that than being in, like, constricting myself.
Yeah. So basically what you're doing now, you've started a charity, right?
Yes, I have. Social enterprise, yes.
Okay.
Not-for-profit social enterprise called UBU.
Yeah.
Our vision is that we're inspiring young children in their limitless choices beyond their particularly beyond their gender stereotypes, but it's intersectional. So what we mean by that is we're working with communities that are white working class, black, travelling communities, those communities that are usually overlooked. Yeah. Because for any change, like, there's no point selling all of this stuff and speaking to people that already have bought into this change. For big societal change to happen, long lasting, we have to think about everyone, and that's important in terms of diversity and inclusion. Yeah. And I come from a Bangladeshi Muslim background, and you can't overlook that, right? You can't think about not encompass or embrace those Muslim girls that need role models too. Like, they all do. All kids do. People do. Not kids. Everyone does. Yeah. So it's making sure that that is like my passion. I wish I had it when I was a girl. And like now you've got the likes of like Mindy Kaling. I love her. I wish I had her when I was a kid. But I'm like, wow, I would never have thought I could have been a writer. Do you know what I mean? When I was a kid, you don't think about that.
Yeah.
I just watched. She's all that or whatever. Or you know, like all of that stuff, and I never saw people that looked like me. And again, like for me and what I did, I was an anomaly.
Yeah.
So I studied philosophy. I think I was one of the only few women of colour. I think one of two in my like university.
Yeah.
Then I studied law. Okay, there's quite a few lawyers, but female partners or female like in the corporate world, like right to the top, there's not a lot. And that again inspired me to do this. And I was like, I could either be doing this and unhappy or go and like pursue something that is so important to me and I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And then I just went and did it. Just pull the ripcord.
That's amazing. Love that.
Yeah. Some people thought I was having a breakdown.
Yeah, of course they did.
Someone was like, do you want me to call the employee assistance helpline? And I was like, no, I've got this. Like, no, I'm cool. When you're leaving, like, like, people are just doing the same thing and going on the conveyor belt.
Mate, conveyor belt!
It's the conveyor belt, and you're going around and you're like, and it's that. It's like, and then I'm the person that's like, I don't want to be on this conveyor belt. Can we just press emergency stop? And it's like,
what's happening?
She doesn't want to be on the conveyor belt. Oh my God. And it's that, like, she's like, you know, it's like 1984, the novel.
Yeah.
Have you read that book?
Yeah, it's great.
It's that, like, I stopped taking my pills. Didn't want to be on the conveyor belt.
Yeah. So what happened? So you were working in the city?
I was working in the city and...
As a consultant, right? Or...
Yeah, I was working in the city. I'm not gonna... Yeah.
Go into details.
Not gonna go into details, but I was in the city and I was just tired. Didn't have a lot of time for my family and my friends and most importantly, me. And we've only got to the stage where mental health is actually spoken about, but it's not seen as, oh, you're a crazy person. Even when I was depressed, talking about it was a little bit of a taboo, and it was a bit like, you're depressed, oh my God, there's something wrong with her. And there is always this analogy that everyone uses, and I do love it because it works. People will stop if you've got a broken arm, they'll be like, oh. But depression, it's like, oh, she's sad. And it's like, no. It's not a sadness. It could be anything. It's a trauma. Mine was a trauma from childhood, right? And it's that, like, it's a trap. So it not only stops you from talking about it because you're ashamed, and the shame about it. A shame is just, ugh. So we're all shrouded in shame, and I can't talk about it because it's shameful. Someone else doesn't want to talk about it because it's awkward and shameful, and it's that perpetual cycle. Because then you feel alone, then you get more depressed. Then you don't talk about it even more, and it's that vicious cycle. And I think right now, it's getting to a stage where people talk about it, and that's important. And I remember, like, Step one. And I remember, you know, even my brother, doctor, was depressed, suicidal, sad, and didn't talk about it.
I heard recently that apparently that happens a lot with doctors.
Yeah, and they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're failing and it starts from a young age.
Man.
Yeah, we're failing ourselves. Like, starts from a young age. You tell boys, like, oh, boys will be boys, don't cry, don't be a girl.
Don't feel, man.
Don't feel, and you're like, what? Like, we're humans.
Yeah.
Like,
we are humans.
Communication and feeling is what, like...
It's who we are.
Is who we are.
Yeah.
And we can communicate way more elaborately. I mean, some people might question me, but more elaborately than, I don't know, foxes. Maybe David Attenborough is going to be like, no, actually, there's like sonic waves, Bilkis, you're an idiot. But we have the ability to communicate with one another and connect. Yeah. And it's so amazing that in this ever more connected world, we are way more isolated and apart than ever.
Yeah, it's like we're dissociating ourselves from ourselves.
Yeah, and mental health, like social media. Like I was away in Mexico, and this couple, like I had to check myself with my own mental health, because I'm still like, you know, coming out of it, and like anxiety and depression, it's something that everyone should talk about. 1 in 4 people suffer from it.
I agree.
There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's you could be facing a trauma. It's actually a strength to come out to the other side.
Yeah, I think also when you can talk about it, that's you also processing, dealing with it. It's,
oh my God, couldn't have put that better.
Yeah.
The more you talk about it, the more you talk about it, the better it gets, and it loses its power.
Yeah, it's hold over you.
So that I see it like it as a little person. Do you know what I mean? Like the trauma or the shame, like it loses its power. It's the same with OCD. And I've got slight OCD. I do have OCD, and again, people should talk about it, because people think, oh, you got OCD, a bit weird, and it's like, no. And it comes. We should talk about it more. Yeah. It's more than, depression is more than feeling sad. OCD is more than counting to 3 every time you leave the house. Like, it's a way of coping, and if we talk about it more, it just loses its power.
Yeah.
It's not going to have the power over you.
Yeah. So how long were you working in the city?
3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, good solid. No, actually 5 years.
Wow.
I lie.
Yeah, I thought it was longer.
Yeah, it's 5 years. 5.5 years.
Okay.
It was way longer.
Yeah.
I'm clearly just like... And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with the city, right? If you know, I know loads of people that are successful, that are amazing, that are working in the city. It's about creating safe spaces and communities, environments for those people everywhere, and making sure that people are genuinely included. The corporations are genuinely diverse. And cared for, exactly. Yeah. And people, if they're struggling at work, like, we're in a society where it's like FaceTime, like you work until you kill yourself.
Yeah, it's
you
true.
Work first, work. And someone told me 9 to 5, interesting fact for y'all, 9 to 5 was made up because it was to do with factory times. So it's to do with the sun, when the sun sets and the sun rises.
Yeah.
And you don't need to work those, like...
all of those hours.
No. Because you stop, let's be honest, you stop being productive after a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like,
sometimes you're sitting at work and you're just kind of not really...
Yeah, like Sweden did they trialled 6-hour days and they found people were more productive, better mental health because you get to spend more time with your family, like your friends, yourself, importantly. It's all of that. So yeah, I worked in the city for 6 years. 6.5, about that.
Good on that.
I'm just like condensing, aren't I? 6 years.
Yeah, and so then at one point it all got a bit too much, and...
Yeah, do you know what? It boils down to...
Can you talk us through that?
Being... Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Being a child of an immigrant. And I think I'm using my personal experiences, obviously, and this isn't a caveat for all. It's just what my experiences are. Success is defined for you from a young age. Like, my parents didn't have education. They're Bangladeshi. Like, they grew up in a village, like, and then they moved over here, and they had very rudimentary, like, basic education. Obviously, my dad is one of the most intelligent men I've ever met in my life, and he didn't go to university. I'll come back to that. And my mum went back to university at 17. And success is education. When you come from an immigrant background, because our parents didn't have education at their fingertips, it's seen as so important because it's a way to progress.
To get out of the cycle of poverty, of social, like, sadly, in England, there is a class system and that we're obsessed with it. And it's to get out of that. Yeah. Because you need that network, or know whoever it is down the road, who's a producer who can help you with this, X, Y, Z. It is sadly like that. And that's what... I want to break with my work, like break those like class divides and like just get
role models and mentors everywhere, so every kid can see it. But also that from a young age, success was defined. I'm doing it in a roundabout way, but I'm answering your question. Success was predefined. So I thought being successful was Asians love to become lawyer. We love lawyers, we love accounting, and we love doctoring, we love medicine. So actually my mum tried to convince my brother not to go into medicine because we've got so many medics in our family, which is cool. But I mean, art and drama in my Asian community, in my specific Asian community, it's like, no, you don't do that. You do doctor, lawyer, whatever it is. So for me, success was predefined into those little boxes.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, I need to do this, and then I need to go to law school, then I'll become a lawyer. I did like legal research for a bit, didn't like it. Did legal recruitment for a bit, didn't like it. And I was like, I don't want to be in the law. And then I was like, right, I need to work in the city and be successful. So that's why I went for those jobs.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's nothing against those jobs, but it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the lesson there is forcing yourself to be something that you're not. And that's how...
Okay, and that was happening.
That was happening to me, and that's why I was getting depressed, and that's why I was getting sad and anxious. Like, I didn't want to... I wanted to do something else, and I wasn't pursuing what I wanted to do. I was pursuing what the perceived idea of my parents' success was to make them happy.
Yeah.
And I think loads of us feel...
So true, man. So true.
Yeah. Loads of us fall into that trap, don't we?
Yeah, 100%.
Or society's expectations.
Yeah, and we're not given time to actually think, what do you want to do?
Like, what do you like?
Yeah.
Actually, I love children. Yeah, so what are you doing in a corporate department where there isn't one kid?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And it's that made me be like, I can either stay in this and it's not for me and I'm going to be really, like, sad for me, or I can leave and do something that A, I care about, but B, I find so important and fascinating. Loads of people say, oh, it's interesting, and it's like, no, it's important.
Yeah,
because when, it's not interesting, it's important, it's happening now. Like, I'm interviewing 5-year-olds, and there's one boy said, if I'm sad, I'd rather punch a tree than talk about it, and he's 5, and he shouldn't be saying things like that.
Yeah. It's education. It's important.
It's empowering. It's important. It's not just interesting. I was 7, and I loved football, and I got severely bullied. So I got not only racism, but bullied for wanting to play football. Like, the boys didn't want me to play, and the girls thought I was weird because I was a tomboy, whatever that means. And that's also another, like, that's a trauma that I've held throughout. And that's also a catalyst for me to do this stuff. And I was like, no, I could have been an amazing professional footballer. I was actually quite good. I mean, I was 7, but I was quite good, and I had to give it up. And do you know what I ended up having to do?
Yeah.
Become Mel B in the Spice Girls.
Oh,
like, you know that routine in there? I had to become Mel B. I mean, I love Mel B. But I was the only brown... Don't get me wrong, Queen. But I was the only brown, like one of the few brown kids, and... That's it, right? It's a stereotype. Like, you're the brown kid, so you can be Mel B.
Yeah.
I was also quite, like, outspoken, so that's scary, because if you're a woman and you're outspoken, or a girl and you're outspoken, then it's not very girly, or is it? A bit out there, a bit scary. Scary Spice. And you're like, fool, talking about that I love football. So, yeah.
So how long did it take for this whole transition, and how did it happen for you to realise, actually, I need to get out of here?
I think when I got signed off again, and it was becoming a cycle.
And what does it mean to get signed off?
I signed off at work from depression when I got depressed again. And I tried another, like, different kind of company, and I was just like, similar but different. And I was just like, no. Just because it's not for me.
Yeah.
And I was forcing myself.
Yeah.
And these organisations are doing loads for loads of people, and people love it. I've got friends that work there, and it's, again, nothing against them, but it wasn't for me. and it was me forcing my ideal of what success was. So being in a really big city job, and it is for loads of people, earning loads of money. Happiness lies in being really thin. And you're like, okay, these are all the things I need to be doing, and it's quite stressful, right? And I think that was enough for me. I was like, I'm not following my own gut and my instincts.
Yeah.
And I care about people. Yeah. And I want to help people directly impact them. Yeah. So not indirectly. I want to be working directly with helping children. Yeah. From the Bangladeshi community, from the working class community, from the Afro-Caribbean community. Like, I want to do that. And that's when it just... A, shifted for me, but B, it was a BBC News article. Okay. And it was around gender stereotypes, and they were being... Well, the research showed that by the time girls are 6, they already feel less intelligent. They believe that they're less intelligent than boys. And you're like, wow, okay. So I then Googled up the scientist that did the whole... I talked to him on Science Journal, and Skyped him. And I was like... This has inspired me. It just made me literally take me back to the playground where I was bullied, and I was like, and I remember thinking, there must be things that we're doing at schools now where you can just do whatever and you can play football if you want to play football, regardless of whatever gender you are. Like, there must be. No. And it's not enough. And if you're still in, I mean, we've interviewed 60 kids, and if the theme on the whole is still, and before the pilot is, no, there are some jobs for girls and some jobs for boys. And you're like, okay, can we have examples? And they're like, a policeman is a man's job because men keep things safe. And you're like, this is coming out at 5. So we need to keep reinforcing it. It needs to start. So that was the trigger for me. I read the article, and then I went to bed. And you know when you're like, I've never had this feeling where... Love it. I had excitement. Yeah. I was like... And then it just went ding, and like, in asleep, and then you be you, spelt properly, shameless plug, came to me in a dream. Wow. Yeah, the idea just came to me in a dream. So I read the article and I was buzzing. Yes, okay. You know when you're just palpitations and you're like, I'm reading, I have to do something about this. Yes. I have to speak to the scientist who's done this research. I need to Skype him. Yeah. And I remember it was Halloween and I had to Skype him, and I thought it wasn't going to be with a video, and then he put his video on and I was dressed in my Halloween costume and I had to put the video on, and I was like, I mean, I wasn't full Halloween, but I was like dark goth lip, and I was like, okay, we're talking about something serious.
Love it.
But it was that, and I just thought, this is, I have to do this. I have to make sure that what happened to me or my friends when we were kids doesn't ever happen again. Like the next generation. Yeah. Like, no. I don't want girls, boys, everybody in between to be like, you're that, you're this, you're black and a boy, or you're brown and a boy, or you're white and transgender, or you're brown and transgender. I don't want any of that. Because if it's happening at 5, no wonder we're obsessed with Brexit and the other, and we're scared of everyone, and we try and like break everyone into different little groups, and like I can't stand that. It's too much. It's like we're all the same. We're human. Like, come on. Like,
so true.
Do you remember post Brexit and do you remember on the train what happened? And they made me cry. Yeah, it's that stuff. And you're like, whoa, people are allowed to express themselves. To give everybody else in this the backstory.
Yeah, do you want to talk?
Yeah, like, after Brexit, I was scared to leave London because that's predominantly where all the votes for Brexit were coming from. London was predominantly Remain. And it's scary, right? For me, as a brown woman, you too, you must get it. Like, I was a bit scared, and I'm allowed to say to my friend on the train, I'm a bit scared, like, we should just be a bit careful. And then that couple, the middle-aged white couple that were like, we're not racist, and then they made me cry, and then they shouted at me for saying that, and it was just a bit weird. It was like, whoa. I'm just saying to my other woman of colour friend, can we be careful? Because, like, I'm just a bit anxious and I'm allowed to feel that anxiety.
Yeah, that's so true. You are. Yeah.
I'm allowed to feel that anxiety because my parents have had racism, been called a paki, had bricks thrown through their windows. Like, you carry that trauma. I remember walking with my grandma when I was a kid, and the group of 10 hoodie boys being like, you're paki, and you're like, I was 10 and I was holding to my grandma and she's disabled, and you're like, oh my God, they're going to kill her. And you take those traumas and you're like...
You take them on.
You take them on. You're 10. You're scared for your grandma. And there's 10, 15-year-old boys. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying all 10, 15-year-old hooded boys are going to do that. But in this case, when they're screaming packy at your grandma and you're like, I'm going to die.
Yeah, man.
I'm 10. So it's that sort of like, I want a world. And I think it's topical at the moment. Everyone's doing this. Not everyone, but lots of people are talking about diversity and inclusion. And working even gender stereotypes in the early education space, and it's so important. And like, I started this 2 years ago, and it is something that I'm now committing my career and life to, because it's going to take time, because it's a long societal change.
Yeah.
And for us, it's working with the Muslim communities, working with the communities that often are overlooked.
Yeah. So what? Just back to the story. What happened after you had the Skype with the
scientists?
Yeah.
He was just like, this is exactly... Basically, I said to him...
He just gave you the message.
Yeah, I was like, this is inspiring and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to take your research, your academia, and make it into a practical... I hate using intervention, but initiative.
Yeah.
Where we're directly impacting communities, those kids. Because there's a difference between talking about doing stuff and being like, oh...
I agree, 100%. So many people are talking about doing stuff, but actually, and it's not just about doing stuff, it's also like creating a space where people can learn and people can actually change, because not many people are doing that.
Yeah. I mean, preach. And also, like, it's also like little tiny way, but it's also about having genuine diversity and inclusion. You need to think about the people in the room. I've gone to conferences or the irony is, one diversity and inclusion event, I'm not going to name names, was hosted by a charity, and guess how much a ticket was to the diversity and inclusion event? £400 for the day. So that's not diverse and inclusive. You're only going to get one demographic. You're not going to get all the numbers. You're not going to get the likes. I mean, I can't afford that. You're not going to get most people. A lot of people couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
So you're getting the same voices around the table. And again, you can't have a conversation about feminism or anything without thinking about colour, less abled people.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you've got to
can't just focus on one.
No, and you go through the world, you're compounded with different elements that you face. Like,
True, man.
I'm a woman of colour. I used to be working class. Like, but I still haven't let go of that. But I can't really be like, oh, I'm still working class. Like, I'm not, but I'm grateful to my parents for showing, like, helping me navigate a system where class it shouldn't even be a thing. But that's another podcast.
So what did the scientist say to you when you...
He was like, oh my God, that was my really bad American accent. He's going to kill me. I do actually need to speak to him soon. He was like, this is exactly why I've done the science. He was like, this is why I've done the research. I want people like you to take it and take it into your communities.
That's literally such a direct message.
Yeah. And then he said there are other... he was like, 2 other people have got in touch with me. He was like, there's a similar initiative in San Fran.
Wow.
And he was like, not doing what we're doing, because we're like intersectional. We're working. I mean, both me and my co-founder, we're from Muslim. We grew up as Muslims, and she is Pakistani heritage. I'm Bangladeshi British. She's Pakistani American. So we've got loads of different elements that we're bringing in. Did you just see me do that? Loads of different elements that we're bringing in, and it's that like. Working with those parents. So one of our schools has loads of Polish parents, so it's working with the Polish parents as well. So it's not just giving those lessons, but getting those Polish parents to interact with their kids and talk about life, communities, emotions, feelings, because it's important.
Yeah. And so then basically after that conversation you thought, right, this is it, I'm just going to start.
I then went and I was like, okay, this is a sign. I was like, this is a sign.
Nice.
And I was just like, I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. Of course I didn't. Like, it was 2 weeks in after I read the article. Like, 2
weeks into.
After reading the article, I was just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to quit my job. And then I was just like, right, got to figure it out. And then just took that massive, but scary, massive, but rewarding and exciting leap of faith. I was just like, right, if I'm going to do it, I have to do it. Because I can't half do it.
Yeah, of course.
It's very labour intensive.
Yeah.
It's a labour of love.
So you left your job?
Left my job.
And that was it?
Found a part-time gig.
Nice.
Yeah. Because I still, I mean,
Takes a lot of courage, man.
I've got bills to pay. I got that credit card bill to pay with added interest. So I did actually at the time as well. So I was like, this isn't the smartest idea, but let's be slightly smart about it. So I got a part-time job in a startup.
Love it.
But the startup failed after 3 months.
No.
So I had a call on the Monday and the CEO was like, yeah, so we're going to wind up the company. So yeah, it's kind of like you learn to just go with the waves. You kind of have to.
And it's different.
And it's hard. Sorry, what were you going to say?
It's just different to what you were doing before.
Oh, yeah, like job security.
Yeah.
Like you go in, say 9 to 9. You go in, you go out, you get your paycheck, but you get your paycheck every month. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got the support of a big company or a small company. This is different. Yeah. Like, this is you on your own. Yeah. And before I found my co-founder, it was me against me just banging my own UBU drum and being like, join me.
Yeah.
And that was scary. But I was just like, as long as I've got a part-time job so I can pay my rent, and you have to change your lifestyle.
Yes.
Because I was single, living in London. You have to change your lifestyle. And you just make those adjustments for things that
that are important.
Yeah, that you're important, and it's like done.
So I think as females, we have quite strong intuitions. Just, I think from what you described, there's a lot of just listening to your gut.
Yeah.
What is your relationship with that, and do you think it's important? Because I think a lot of people, maybe they have this calling and then they don't listen. Or
I don't think it's a female thing.
Yeah.
I actually don't. I think it is a societal thing. I think that we silence ourselves to fit in.
Yeah. No, sorry.
With everyone.
As feminine, we're quite tuned into our intuition, I think, in general. But anyway.
What was your question? Sorry, let me answer it.
Just, what do you think about following your intuition, and how do you interact with that yourself? But you can talk about this, what you were saying anyway, societal.
I think intuition is an amazing thing, but it's also scary. I just had this feeling and I had to listen to it, otherwise I would burst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Like, this is what I care about. This is what I will get out of bed and work every, other, hour when I'm not eating or sleeping on it. And I think there's an element of listening to your intuition and going with it, but also not going completely the other way. Because if I just went with my intuition, then I'd just give up my job. I'd be doing this full time, and I want to, but there was a transition period, right? You've got to also be smart because
it's practical.
Because mama got to pay bills. I've got to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So also there's an element. So for me, it was listen to that intuition, but also have some structure.
Ground it.
Yeah, ground it, some structure, so that I can pay. So I've got a roof over my head. So then I can work on my laptop to do the work. Because again, if I didn't have the money, then I can't pay my bills. Then I can't eat, then I can't nourish my mind, then I can't give to you, be you. So it's kind of like a balance, like follow your intuition, but also ground yourself in some structure. That's what I would say, because if you just always go with your gut, then sometimes it gets overwhelming. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to think of an example. But I would definitely say, like, listen to your, like, don't silence it, because and if it keeps coming, definitely don't silence it.
Because I think what you were saying, maybe you were going to say, in society, it's very common to not listen.
And I think, and it's that cookie cutter, like, conforming. Stereotypes. Conforming. As a woman, you've got to be slim, pretty, conform. Do you know what I mean? As a man, you've got to be big, strong, whatever, and it's conforming. As a woman, you've got to be funny, but not too funny, because then you can't undermine the guy. And then as a man, you've got to show your feelings, but not too much feelings, because then you're like too much. And it's those, like, it's kind of like, you know, when you DJ and you do that thing with the dials. It's not too much. That treading.
I love it.
It's that not too much. Like, next time you DJ, you can be like, oh, but it's that, and it's like, no, like, if you feel sad, you can feel sad. I always tell people, the men in my life, show your feelings. I tell my dad, I don't know if it's my dad thing or an Asian thing, but my dad doesn't, he obviously loves me, but he'll mumble. And you're like, do you know what I mean? And you're like, so now I make a point, and I would never, like, say I love you to him either, because it was like, and it's awkward. And now I'm like on the phone, and I'm like, oh, okay, bye, I love you. And it's like, come on, we can show each other feelings. You can be sad. You can, like,
it's nice to be able to have gone through that opening as well.
And the other day he was like, I love you too, and I was like, whoa, I could hear it.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't like, you know, it's that. And like, you know, when you grow up and you think your parents have all the answers and they're like perfect, and then you're like, actually, I can teach stuff to my parents.
It's true. That's so true.
You can help them to be a better version of themselves. Because times change. You can say, I mean, it should never have been this in the first place, but now you can say I love you if you want. To your daughter, sure. But it's that. It's does that answer your question? Was that like great. Go with your gut? I would definitely say, like, if it keeps coming, like, listen, because the more you suppress, you're suppressing something that's within you. And that's how you become isolated, sad, depressed, lonely, don't eat properly. It's a part of, like, mental health, right? And looking after yourself. Like, get a journal, whatever's in your mind, write it, draw. Like, if you've got, I'm going to start flower arranging, long story, but I'm starting to love nature. I've always loved it. But again, I've never connected with nature, or like, a hobby has got to be like the gym, and you do something and then you come out of it and you lose weight. I was just like, why? I hate the gym.
I think it's really, I like how you described what, you know, when you realised that you shouldn't be doing this and you had to leave your job in the city. But also it's really interesting because it seems like it's very tied, what you're doing now, it's very tied into your experience from your past. And it's kind of like, it seems like this is your responsibility now, you know?
Actually, that's honestly how I feel.
Because
like, and I love the way that it's to use my experiences and like what I've gone through and the platform that we have as UBU to empower the next generation, but also our peers. Because if I turn around, and I've had conversations with friends and been like, it's okay if you hate your job, especially men have this pride, and not all men, of course, I'm not going to generalize, but the men I've spoken to are like, oh, no, I've got to have this job and I'm the breadwinner. And you're like, no, like, you can leave your job if you want. If you don't like it, you don't have to, you can come home and cry about it. That's okay. And you can leave your job if you want. You don't have to be tired. Like, but it goes both ways, right? You can empower, obviously you want to empower girls and women. And everyone in between, but you want to empower men too, to be able to listen to their intuition.
Yeah, of course.
Listen to their inner voice, to talk about their feelings, to let it out. Like, I'm a proponent. I do not see it as a weakness. I remember, was it last year, obviously, some TV program where a man cried and someone was like, oh, man up. And you're like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, right?
Like, what?
Yeah,
like,
it's,
no.
Yeah, the idea of what it means to be a man or a woman, or
you just don't know.
Backwards, I think.
Yeah, it's like, no. And transgender too, like.
Yeah, all of it, exactly.
Everyone is human. Stop. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's so important, and it's becoming really big right now.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's starting to talk about it. We've still got a long way to go.
Yes.
A long way.
Yeah.
And I think it starts here, and I do feel like it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, I want to use what's happened to me so that it never happens to other children again. Because if you can't play football in the playground at 5 and you're a girl, playground.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's kind of like, I guess it needs to come from people who have been through it. It seems like that, you know?
I think
somehow.
Yeah. And I think most of us have been through some sort of discrimination.
I agree.
At some level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, at any level, you've got some discrimination. And I think it's important that you use your experience and you remain authentic.
Yeah.
Because it adds that authenticity.
Yeah.
You can't talk about this stuff and having not gone through it. And then again, that goes back to being detached. Yeah. Then you're not putting yourself in the work. And that's not...
Yes.
Do you know what? Kids are amazing because they either they are so emotionally aware.
Yes.
And they know when like they're like just out of this world. Like, young kids, if they don't like you, they will know straight. Like, they just know what you're about. They're really good at reading people.
Yeah.
So if you're not authentic, they'll read you.
That's good though.
It's true though.
It probably like makes you even more.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, you know, interviewing them is amazing, but they can go rogue. And, and you've just got to let them go rogue when they're just like, they're amazing.
And then you said, like, you've been dealing with depression. Is there anything that you've, like, that's helped you? Anything particular that has really...
Openly talking about it.
Yeah.
1. 2, books and podcasts.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that because I'm currently on a podcast, but other podcasts, so like The Guilty Feminist is great. Bryony Gordon is great, like, listening to her, and she goes through like depression and OCD, and that's quite nice to like be like, I'm not the only one. Other people have gone through it. And they're amazing. And also just talking to family and friends and doing stuff that you love.
Yeah.
Even if you're having a crap day, A, let yourself have a crap day, but B, know that you're going to come out of this crap day and reach out. Like, even if it's... Some days you're like... When I was really, really not... Like, didn't want to talk about it, fine. But I think it's reaching out to peer groups, your friends. A friend that you haven't spoken to in years. And you know those friends that you haven't spoken to in years, and then you pick up the phone and it's like, it was yesterday. That, and sometimes a really good conversation. Not even talking about your depression, like, just talking.
It just helps.
It helps. Or just going outside helps. I think that's where my nature love, like, just being around nature. Like, I was talking to one of my friends, and she was just like, she's reading about a book around nature, and how we're supposed to be, like, we're supposed to be out in the open and interacting with nature. Like, we're not meant to be in an office inside with air conditioning. Like, we're meant to be outside, walking, breathing, whatever it is, crawling, whatever, sitting, but we're meant to be outside.
Yeah.
And just, or at least in contact with nature. That's why I've bought loads of plants for the house.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, so that helped a lot. Like, just getting something that you care about, speaking to people, and just reading up about yourself. Oh, and journaling.
Nice. It sounds like it's a lot of stuff that you just do on your own. You're doing it for yourself, you know? Like, did you also see a therapist?
Yes.
And was that?
I was an anti-therapist person before this therapist.
Oh, wow.
I did not believe in therapy. Because I think
that's also another stereotype I think a lot of people have.
Yeah, therapy is seen as a weakness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like...
And also just, that's not useful.
Oh, yeah. It's like, it's hippy-dippy, and you're like... No, it depends on the therapist, like anything, right? It depends on the person that you're having a conversation with, whether it's a good conversation or not. Yeah. This therapist changed my life. She was amazing.
Wow.
And therapy helped a lot. And I think that kind of was a catalyst to help give me a platform to go out and to speak to my friends about it, my family, like let go of the trauma. It kind of helped that... set off that cathartic process of like letting shit go. And it's also okay if you don't completely let it go, but at least you've got the kind of mechanisms to deal with it, is what I would say. Like, that was the most empowering. Like, a really good therapist will give you the tools so that you can go on and become self-sufficient and become your own therapist. That's what they want you to do. They want you to become their own own therapist, and that's when you need to, like...
I love that.
Yeah.
And then you did. And then you found... Right?
Yeah. I'm just like... Sometimes, you know, you give your alter ego... Read the Chimp... Oh, I read the book Chimp Paradox.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
That's amazing. Yeah. That changed my life. So now, you know, I name...
You're soaking it in.
Yeah, I'm soaking it in, and I name, like, my inner chimp.
Okay.
You know? And I do believe that. You know, when you get those bouts and... we react emotionally before we think rationally.
Yeah,
like we just do.
So
that's
true.
That's the way our bodies functioned. Yeah. So she's called Maria, if you want to know, and she is just a little bit much. Like, but I acknowledge her, and she's there, and it's fine. But it's all of that stuff. Like, it's becoming your own therapist, listening. And being kind to yourself. And sometimes everyone has a down day, right?
Yeah.
And it's also not like letting that happen and just looking after yourself. It's amazing. We go around looking after other people.
Allowing yourself to let it happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not feeling guilty.
Yes.
So if I want to stay in and I just want to read a book all day, and then you know when you get FOMO and you're like, I should be out, I should be doing this and doing this. No.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I get that. I listen to this on Oprah's Soulful Sundays, Soulful Sessions.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, I get this. You know, when the sun comes out, I get anxiety. Because I'm like, I should be out, I should be doing this. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm wasting the day, it's sun, and especially in England, it's never bloody sunny. So you're like, I need to maximise the day, I need to be out, I need to be doing this. And you're like... Hold up. Do you know what? I'm not feeling it. And I'm feeling barbecue for one in my oven.
Yeah, listen to your body.
And I want to just read a book. I don't want to go outside. Yeah. I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Because it's annoying to go to the park when you set up your picnic and then the dog licks the hummus and then you can't use the hummus anymore and then a frisbee gets chucked in your face and you're tired and you just don't want to be outside or around anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just don't want to be around anyone. It's okay.
Yeah.
But it's that.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I'm just like
100%.
No, I want to Netflix and chill. I want to watch the documentary on RBG. I want to watch Ruth Bader Ginsburg doing her exercises and just smashing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, reading about women that you, or men, or anyone that you love and admire.
Yeah.
Reading their autobiographies, reading their books. You gave me that Oprah Winfrey book, and I loved that. That changed. Do you remember after South Africa?
Yeah. Love it.
And that touched me because you were like, this reminded me of you.
Oh wow.
And I was a bit like, and then you gave me that book, and I was like, oh my goodness, yeah.
She's good, eh?
Yeah. And I was like, and it could be a small gesture that you do with a friend, right? And it just, you don't realise, but it impacts them.
Yeah, crazy.
Because I remember reading that, and I was like, just centered, like.
It's crazy, like words affect, like they can inspire you.
Yes. And for me, it's people's stories.
Yeah.
Knowing about their experiences. I love talking to people.
Same.
On holiday, wherever, on the street. Like,
so true.
Because I want to learn about their stories.
So true.
Because everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And everyone has, you know, something that they want that they want to share. Like, we all want to share our stories. We're all just bits of stories put together.
So true.
It's what I am today.
Yeah, man.
I mean, my story this morning was on the Bakerloo line for 50 minutes, wasn't it? But it was worth it to come and see you, of course.
It was worth it to share your story.
I mean, it's worth it to be with you and just in this ambiance. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this question now.
Go on. I'm ready.
What does freedom mean to you? Freedom.
Oh, that is a big
This
question.
is a big one.
Did you ask Josh this?
I might have. I've asked a few, not everyone knows.
What is freedom to me?
Yeah, take your time.
Freedom to me links back to all the constraints that we put on ourselves and letting all of those go, and also being liberated enough and love yourself enough to do that. So what I mean by that is that clear? Or shall I be clearer?
Go in.
I think what I mean by that is, like, from day dot you are born, and then all of these, like, constraints or what expectations are put on you, and then every day it builds until present day. You're like, you either go with it and you conform and you try and live up to all those expectations and then don't make anyone happy, least of all yourself, or you acknowledge those expectations but really listen to yourself and what you want. And freedom is having the liberation to listen to yourself, coming and putting those constraints aside and following your true version of happiness, whatever that is for yourself. And listening and becoming your authentic self. So, like, whatever it is, like, this is now my authentic self. I'm not the person that likes to wear heels in the office. I hate heels. I've got my Adidas, I mean, this isn't a plug for Adidas, but I've got my, you know, my little trainers on. And that is me. That's my authentic me. That doesn't make me less professional, less intelligent, less ambitious. And it's that, like, having the freedom to be like, what is it? Like, what do I care about? Like, and listening to yourself and being your authentic self.
Love it.
And Beyonce said it. Do you know when she was like, what does he say in the video? And she's like, what is your goal in life or something? Oh, yeah. Do you remember? And she's like, what is the purpose of life or something? And it's like, the goal in life is to be happy. My goal in life is to be happy. It's that, like, it all links, right? If you're your authentic self, you listen to your gut and listen to yourself, it kind of leads to your authentic, happy self.
Yeah.
That's freedom.
Love it.
Like, not thinking about society, and when they're like, you know, I went home the other day and it's like, oh, you're getting a little bit podgy, and you're like, oh, open that custard pie and eat it. That's what I did. Get that extra samosa in your hand. I did.
Love it.
Like, that's just be yourself.
Yeah, man.
I love samosas. I love samosas.
So do I.
Oh my god. Vegetarian samosas, they're better than the meat samosas. That's when you know. That's when I could legit be vegetarian on Indian food.
Yeah, of course. Indian
like,
food's great, especially for vegetarian.
So I would say that's freedom. Like, just being your authentic self. And Lizzo says it perfectly. If I shine, everybody gonna shine.
Yeah, man.
So it's
that energy.
It's that. It's like you gotta shine, and then everybody, like, you'll naturally attract like-minded people. You'd naturally attract the like-minded communities and have those, for like, genuine conversations. You'll naturally be in presence of those people because they'll be drawn to you.
Yeah, man.
You'll be drawn to those communities. So that's what I would say. That was a long-winded answer, but you know.
It's really good though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing your story. Do you have any final words for people who are also going through similar things that you've been through, really?
Yeah. If you're having a down day, or I would say, like, if you're having a shit time, or I shouldn't swear, if you're having an awful time, or like you're feeling down, like, remember there's a community out there, and reach out to that community, whatever that community is for you. The community could be one person, right?
I love that.
Like, and I hate, there's always a thing about like having loads of friends and all of that, and another thing that we put expectations on. Don't, like, find your own community. The community might be yourself in your bedroom where you're doing your DJ set and you're giving yourself time, but find out what that community is, who that is, and reach out, because you're not on your own. Like, the more I speak to people or communities or whoever it is, the more I realise not everyone, but people are going through similar things, or if they're not, they know someone or they've been through it. Like, we just need to connect more, and that's it. Like,
love that.
Even on a Sunday, if you're like, not today, I don't want to connect with anyone today, maybe the next day, maybe go and speak to, I don't know, whoever. But reach out to your community, and you get to define who your community is.
Whoop, whoop. Love it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.